You need sales calls to grow your business. Your calendar is full of calls. Cost per call looks right. On paper, the campaign is working, but something doesn't add up. Half the calls are a no-show. The ones who do show up, a surprising number, they can't afford the offer. And your closer is burning out. And the revenue numbers, they just don't add up. This is not a lead volume problem. Let me show you the math that explains everything. You know, a business owner came to me. He had spent $38,936 on paid ads, 124 calls booked, cost per call, $314. His agency said, campaign's a success. Here's what was actually happening. His show-up rate was around 50%. 61 of the 124 people actually showed up. Out of those 61, a large portion of them couldn't afford the offer. Filled out the form, booked the call, but when they came to commit, no budget. 43 qualified. Show-up conversations out of 124. He thought he was paying for $314 per sales opportunity. He was actually paying $906 per conversation. And this doesn't include his customer acquisition cost. His agency called it a success, but he was bleeding cash and his closer was burning out. And he had no idea what was broken because his agency was showing him things that weren't working. I'm going to show you exactly why this happens in this video. And there are 3 specific places that money is leaking and how to find which ones are costing you the most. If we haven't met, I'm Clint. I'm a Techstars back founder, own an AI software company and a creative growth agency. Here's the trick that most marketing agencies use. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. When an agency reports your results, they show you metrics that just go up and to the right. Leads generated, cost per click, calls booked, forms filled out. What they don't show you is what those numbers translate in dollars. What agencies show you: cost per click, cost per lead, calls booked, forms filled out, engagement rate. All of these can look amazing while you're losing money. What actually matters: cost per qualified conversation, the show-up rate, the close rate on qualified calls, the revenue per dollar spent. Now, Marketing Sherpa found that 79% of marketing-generated leads never convert to a sale. Not 30%, not 50, 79%. That's nearly 4 out of every 5 leads that your agency charges you for. They never buy from you, ever. So when the dashboard says 200 leads this month, you should hear you got 40 actual prospects and your agency is charging you for 200. You don't deposit calls booked into your bank account, you deposit revenue. The gap between these numbers is where most businesses are quietly going broke. Now let me tell you a story from my business and my experience. I had a closer working for me. His name was Sahid. Sahid was one of the hardest working people that I've ever had on the sales team. He was on calls all day, studying the pitch, refining the approach, doing everything that a closer should do. But his numbers just weren't working. So call after call, he wasn't closing. He's getting frustrated. And so I jumped in and we sat down together. We're watching sales calls, man. We're looking at the pitch, the objection handling. His deals were just falling apart. And what we realized was that he wasn't the problem. The leads were. The people showing up, they just couldn't afford the offer, or they weren't ready to buy, or they didn't have the decision-making authority, or they'd booked out of curiosity, not commitment. Sahid was doing everything right. He was pitching to the people that were never going to buy, no matter what he said. And here's the part that hurt the most. Because we weren't generating enough revenue, I couldn't pay him what he needed to make for his family, for his bills, for his responsibilities. He had to make a living. I lost him. Not because he wasn't good. Not because he wasn't working hard, but because my lead generation system was broken upstream of him, and it cost both of us. That experience changed how I think about building a sales team forever. The most important job of a business owner running a sales operation is to protect your closer's time. A great closer's hours are the most valuable asset in the business. Every hour they spend on a call with someone who can't buy is an hour that didn't produce revenue for your business. And it didn't produce commission for them. It didn't produce anything. You can either feed them qualified conversations or starve them with unqualified leads. And if you do, they leave. And they should. That's why I built what we have today, the qualification system, the trust ladder, the entire acquisition stack, because I never wanted to put another Sahid in this position again. I want to show you a number that changed how I think about about lead generation completely. Roughly 30% of the calls on average for high-ticket sales calendar physically can't afford the offer. This data comes from a lead qualification platform analyzing 600 plus high-ticket businesses. 30% of the people that get on the call for the closer don't have the credit, don't have the cash, don't have the access to the funds. And if you don't find that out until the end of a 45-minute pitch, if you're booking 50 calls a month, 15 of them every month, mathematically, they can't afford what you have. They're not ready. Literally, they can't afford the offer. That's not a sales problem. That's a qualification problem. More leads on top of the broken qualification doesn't make you money. It makes you more tired. EBSTA analyzes 655,000 B2B opportunities, 48 billion in the pipeline. Well-qualified deals close at 50%. Poorly qualified deals close at 8%. That is a massive difference. 50% close rate for those that are qualified and 8% close rate for those that aren't. Same salesperson, same offers, same market. The only difference is to qualify the lead before they hit the calendar. That is a 6.3% difference in close rate. Yes, 6x, basically entirely on what happened before the sales call ever started. That is the real game. So where's the money actually leaking? Well, after working through my own business and other high-ticket businesses, I've mapped out 3 places. I call them the 3 leaks. Leak number 1 is the targeting. You see, the wrong people see your ads. Most agencies target, real wide, basic demographics. Phishing, just more leads, that's what we want, so they catch everyone. But real targeting is about buyer signals. High income, the intent signals, stage of businesses, prior investment solutions. It's targeting, making sure the right people are coming into your funnel. Most agencies address maybe leak number 1, but they tweak the targeting, but then there's leak number 2, number 3. They don't touch it all. And leak number 2 is qualification. Wrong people book the calls. Most qualification forms are like 2 to 3 fields. We don't want too much friction. Name, email, phone maybe. What are you struggling with? That's not qualification, that's a contact form. Real qualification asks the questions. Man, finding out what's your true intent, budget, timeline, prior investment, decision-making status, the specific problem they're trying to solve. When qualification's weak, your closer becomes a free consultant. Sahid lived that, and it cost both of us. Leak number 3 is nurture. Right people don't show up. That is a leak almost nobody fixes. And it's the biggest one. The right people, you did book the right person, you got them, but they didn't show up because you didn't nurture them and take them on the journey. Here's what most businesses do between the moment a prospect books a call and the moment the call's supposed to happen: a calendar invite, maybe an email, maybe a text. That's it. In a window of 5 to 7 days where your prospect is being courted by competitors, second-guessing their decision, losing urgency that they made when they booked, your agency does almost nothing. And that's why your show-up rate is where it is. Not because people are flaky, it's because nobody gave them a reason to keep the appointment. Pre-call video sequences that fill the booking to show window, they can improve show rates 20 to 30%, 70% and up lift. SMS reminders alone, 50%. But that's the difference between a sales calendar that produces revenue and one that produces burnout. But you need a specific sequence, a trust ladder that you take them on. This trust ladder takes your prospects on a journey in preparation for your call. And I want to say something. If you've been dealing with this and, ad spending disappearing, your calendar is full of no-shows, a closer burning out, that's a revenue roller coaster. It's not your fault. You were sold a model designed to keep you paying without keeping you growing. The lead generation industry has trained business owners to optimize for the wrong metrics. They blamed you when the revenue didn't show up. Most of the businesses I've worked with, they've got a good offer and good closers, real demand for what they sell. But what they don't have was a system that addressed all 3 leaks at once. Targeting that filtered actual buyers. Qualification that screened out the 30% so they never hit the calendar. A nurture sequence that ran the prospects up where they were so fired up and warmed up by the time they hit the call, they were ready for a real conversation. When you put all 3 of them together, the math absolutely changes in your funnel. The same ad spend producing 5 to 10x the qualified conversations. The same closer doubling their close rate because they're talking to actual buyers. The same offer suddenly has predictable revenue instead of feast or famine. And that's what the next 4 videos are about in this series. Video 2 in this series, I'm going to break down the complete acquisition stack, the full system, not holding anything back. Video 3, deep qualification, the exact questions, the form, the structure, the scoring criteria. Video 4, the trust ladder, the pre-call nurture system nobody's talking about. The reason show rates will jump 70%. And video 5, the guarantee, 100 qualified sales calls in 100 days that show up or you don't pay. The math, the conditions, what happens if we miss. Hit subscribe. The next video will be in your feed. And if you want to start diagnosing which of these 3 leaks is costing your business the most, I put together a 1-page checklist. I call it the no-show audit. It's the exact diagnostic that we run on every business before we touch a single campaign. It's free. Link is in the description right below. I'll see you in the next video.